So we're going to be creating this look from this image, and we're only going to be using native DaVinci Resolve tools to achieve this look. So let's jump over into DaVinci Resolve and let's get cracking. So here we are in DaVinci Resolve. This is the image we're going to be working with today. It is a Nikon ZR. So we've got one node on the node graph, and that's a color space transform. We're going out from a red wide gamut to a log 3G10 out to a Rec 709 gamma 2.4. So there's a few things to note. We have this really bright red saturated area over here. Now let's head over to the waveform. Let's drop down, let's go to the vector scope. You can see here that while it is overly saturated, it is pushing past that 75% point. For me, it's not so much the legal limit, it's more that it's distracting for the eye. Your eye should be around here, but instead it's being pulled over here to the right hand side of this image. We've also got a fair bit of noise, and the skin tones are looking quite flat. So these are the things that we're going to be looking at today. So we're going to come over to this first node, we're going to right click, we're going to add node, add serial before, and we're just going to drag this over to the left hand side of the node graph. We're just going to right click, we're going to add a couple more nodes, just like so, add node, add serial, and then we're just going to label these. So this is going to be the exposure, this one's going to be the contrast, and this one is going to be our color. Looking at the image, I think the first thing we do, we come down to the gamma and we're just going to crush that down. And now we're going to counter that over here in the lift, and we're just going to raise this up to about there. So now we've done that, we're going to come across to the contrast here. I'm going to click that, and now we're going to come down to the contrast and pivot, which are down here. We're just going to roll our contrast over to the right to about 1.75, 1.74, and now we're just going to roll the pivot across to the left. So let's just turn these two off and on, and you can see that we've come quite a long way in just a few short moves. Okay, cool. So moving on, let's go to the color. So looking at the color here, we've got quite a heavy blue cast. We've got this really high saturated red and some blue in the background. These skin tones are also looking a little bit flat for my liking. Let's come down to the lift, and let's just take that away from the blue and just push up towards the red, and that's going to bring a little bit more life to his skin. So let's just turn that off and on. So I think our next move is going to be down here at the gamma, and we're just going to bring this down across to the greeny yellowy side, just down to here. So now let's just turn this off and on, and you can see that we've brought the skin tones out and we've got a little bit more of a moodier look. So I'm going to turn these off and on just to see where we're at, and you can see that this image is really taking shape. So the next thing I want to do is I want to take care of the red here and the blue here. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click, we're going to add a node, add serial, and we're going to right click, add node, and add a parallel. And we're just going to label these ones. So this one is going to be our red, and now this one is going to be our blue. We're just going to move that down there. We're going to click on our red node. We're going to head up over towards our color. We're going to come down, we're going to hit presets, and we're going to go to 6 vector red. And now we're going to do the same thing with the blue. So we're going to click on the blue, we're going to head up to the color, we're going to right click, we're going to hit presets, and we're going to come down to 6 vector blue. Now what this will do, this will highlight all of the blue pixels and all the red pixels in the image. So just quickly, if you are getting anything out of this video, even a small amount, it'd mean the world to me if you could click that subscribe button and drop me a comment. Thank you. We're on the blue node at the moment, so what we're going to do is we're going to head up, hit this highlight button up here, and this is going to show us all of those blue pixels in the image. So let's click away from that, and now we're going to come down to the offset. What I want to do is I want to swing these blues around this way. So we're just going to take that offset, and we're going to come round towards the green, maybe like so. So let's just switch that off and on so you can see where we are. And what that's doing is that's now playing into the skin tones that we've set in his face. Now we're going to go to the red. I want to come over to the parade over here, click on that, and we're going to come down to not the histogram, the vector scope. You can see here that we have a very strong red point here, and that's over here. So what I want to do is I want to bring this red point down over to here, and what it might be good is just to bring it round across this way. So we've got a bit of a teal and orange thing going on, but a very subtle one. So we're just going to come across to our saturation first. We're just going to roll that down, and if you look over here on the scopes, you can see now that that red line was up here and is now inside this red box. So now what I also want to do is I just want to take the offset, and I want to see if we can roll that down slightly to maybe about here. So let's just turn that off and on. and you can see that we've really taken the edge out of that red there. However, there is one thing I do want to check. There seems to be a fair bit of noise around here, so I just want to double check that we haven't added to that problem. The noise is something that we're going to take care of in a minute, but I just want to double check that. So let's just turn that off and on. And no, all we've done is soften that red, which is a really good thing to note. So what we're going to do now is we're going to right click, we're going to add node, add a serial, we're going to come down to our power windows, which is just here. We're going to click that, click the circle, and now we're just going to grab his face like that, or we're just going to cover his face, as I should say. A nice soft power window. We're now going to come across to the tracker, which is just here next to the power windows. Right click, and now we're going to make sure that we have the rotate and the perspective 3D switched off, which we have, which is fantastic. So all we need to do now is press these back and forward arrows, because our playhead is part way through the clip, and what that will do is that will then track forward and back past the point of what we're on in this clip. So we're just going to go ahead and click this, and you can see that we've got a really good track, but did notice towards the end of the clip, if we take our playhead and we bring it up, you can see that we are losing part of his face here. So all I want to do to be able to combat that is I want to bring it across to the very last frame. I want to press frame, and now I just want to take this and I want to bring that back. Now we're going to take the playhead and we're just going to scroll back. By doing that, you can see here that we are now don't have part of the face here. So we're going to just gently bring that to the face, and now we're going to scrub all the way through, and you can see now what we've actually done by doing that with the frame, manually moving it. We have got a much better track. All we're going to do now is that we're going to come across to our key down here. We're going to click this. We're going to come up to our highlight mode, which is up there. We're going to press that, and now we're just going to take our luminance and we're just going to roll this up, because I just want to highlight the highlights in our hero's face. So let's just bring this up, and I think let's leave it there. And now we're just going to go to the low soft and roll that out. Let's bring that up slightly to about here. So I think there's good. So what we're going to do is we're going to click off of our highlight, and now just to give a little bit more pop to his face, we're just going to roll those bright points up like so. So if we now turn this node off and on, you can see although we've not done a lot here, we have just increased that contrast on his face. So the last thing that I need to do is to tackle the noise. Sometimes I like to do it at the beginning, sometimes I like to do it at the end, but it will always live for me at the very end of the node tree, just before the color space transform or the output display transform. And because there isn't a huge amount of noise, I don't think we'll need to go as heavy as the iron noise reduction, but let's just double check. So we're going to come down to this icon here, which is our noise. We're now going to just use the spatial noise reduction over here. So we're going to click mode, we're going to come down to better, we're going to leave radius as small, and we're just going to roll up our spatial threshold to about 25. And you can see that if we zoom right in here, looks like I've picked up a key accidentally, so I'm just going to reset that. So let's just turn this noise off and on, and you can see just around here we've just taken that edge off of the noise, and that's all we really want to do. We don't want to compress the image too far, we just want to take the edge of the noise off so it doesn't look noisy. So now that I've been moving the image around, I'm just going to come up to here to this percentage, going to click that, click fit, and that's going to put the image center back in the viewer. So let's just roll back and let's just play this through, and you can see that we've come a really long way really quickly with just using the native Resolve tools. So that's all we've got time for today. If you are still here and you've been following along, thank you so much. Do remember to click that like button, that subscribe button, and drop me a comment, and I'll reply to it as soon as I can. In the meantime, check out the episode over here. This is a Rec 709 tutorial, 8-bit, 10-bit, so do check that out. It's packed with information. But in the meantime, I'll catch you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.